Cunningham is really that much better than Jalen Brunson? Do these numbers look similar? So the bigger, the stronger, the way better guard is only averaging 3 more assists and 3 more rebounds than the smaller Jalen Brunson, but he's the best player in the league, MVP candidate. So by these numbers, shouldn't Jalen Brunson be an MVP candidate? I'm gonna leave y'all with this. Cade Cunningham's best season as a Detroit Piston by the numbers isn't even better than Jalen Brunson's worst season as a Knick. They scared, but I'm not. All ball suckers.
All right, I think that's the sugar list is back. AK Splenda. You look like a knockoff sugar free now. Anybody who know about sugar free, y'all know what I mean. You look like a knockoff sugar free. They don't. My boy Kobe, he live in he from Queens. I ain't gonna say where he live at. It ain't in New York City no more. But but you had these conversations where they like we had these statistical conversations and stats don't tell the whole story. I see Carcino in the comment section say, now go to defense. We ain't even got to go to defense. These people are so stat driven today and it's out of context, right? And I want to bring this point up, and it's been brought up about Steve Nash. How did Steve Nash win the MVP? He didn't deserve to be the MVP. Look at his points. Look at this. At the end of the day, there's intangibles that you can't quantify. And even defensively, they really can't quantify what a guy does defensively. Even if you use deep analytics, that's when they stop using deep analytics for quantifying what a person, does defensively. But you can't quantify some of these things that, some of these guys actually bring to the table. I feel like Jason Kidd a couple years in Jersey when they made that run should have been the MVP. And you look, never averaged 20 points, 18, where's the assists at? 18 assists, almost 10 assists 1 year. He didn't really have the points, but the thing about why I advocated for him to at least be MVP one of those years, and I'm about to make it make sense, why Kid got Nash can be brought in these conversations, was from the simple fact that he made guys better. He didn't have much on that team, Kerry Kittles and, eventually, they had Keith Van Horn who eventually got, pushed out. They ended up getting like Vince Carter. These dudes were having career years with Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd made that team a lot better. But just because he didn't score the points that people think you should have to score to be an MVP, it shouldn't be about, because you scored the most points. That's what we got the scoring title for. It's how do you elevate the team around you? And let me talk about Steve Nash for a minute. And people get mad about Steve Nash winning the MVP. I don't. Steve Nash got Joe Johnson paid. Steve Nash got Tim Thomas paid. Steve Nash got Amari Stoudemire pay. Steve Nash got Sean Marion pay. Steve Nash got a lot of them guys guap. He made a lot of guys better, but you can't really quantify that with stats. Even assists don't tell the same thing. They say, well, Russell Westbrook got this many assists and he did this and he did that. Respectfully, that's cool, but he didn't make nobody better. He was competing with his teammates. Steve Nash, Jason Kidd, and Cade Cunningham can be almost in that conversation. He makes these guys better. The reason he's an MVP candidate is he don't have a top 10 talent next to him. And Karl Anthony Towns was Karl Anthony Towns, talent for talent, sugar free or Splenda, whatever you want to call old buddy right here. He is a top 5 talent in this league. Realistically, he's supposed to be Anthony Davis without the injuries. But you know what? Jalen Brunson is so concerned with scoring the ball. He makes none of them better. That's why the Knicks are not a championship caliber team. Player for player, if you ask most people around the league, the Knicks roster is better than the Pistons roster. Player for player, you're going to pick talent-wise Karl Anthony Towns. You're going to take OG over Sar Thompson or Tobias Harris. You're going to take Mikal Bridges over Sar Thomas or, if he on point. Or at least let's say Duncan Robinson. But the difference is Cade Cunningham, y'all gave him scraps. Y'all gave him scraps. That's what the NBA thinks. This team is not that good. And he got them to 60 wins. He got them to 60 wins. Jalen Brunson got another, probably one of the most talented big fellas in the league. And now y'all saying, oh, he's so trash and he's so garbage. And Carson, you know why he's not that good? It's because your point guard, who's really a shooting guard, you know, I know you got the knowledge, right, Sugarless? Or maybe you don't. Because I ain't even got to get to the defensive standpoint of view like Carcino made. Your point guard and Jalen Brunson is a two guard. His primary job is to put a battery in Karl Anthony Towns' back. That's his primary job. Is to feed the beast, get him going, and score you need to score at. Even as Jalen Brunson been in the league as long as he has not figured out that, you know what, let me get Bridges going, let me get Cat going, let me get the gang going, and then I get mines when I get mines. I get mines when I need to get mines. And had he had that mentality, they'll have a championship right now. But when you just go off stats, this is why people don't really bring up the fact that people forget about the fact that old buddy and Jason Kidd, man, what he did and I'm gonna stand on this. What he did with what he had in New Jersey, dog, he should have been in. He was the most. You take that team, they probably is fighting for the number one pick, and they probably have the worst record in the league. They probably have the worst record in the league. That's value. Value don't mean statistics. That's his value. Jalen Brunson right now, he has a plethora of really good ball players around him. He has a lot of really good talent around him. And he's not making the most of that talent. People look at Cade and say, man, how did he get 60 wins with those guys? That's value. It's not always statistics. The NBA didn't went too far with the statistics. They don't quantify the defense. I'm not even gonna get to defense. I'm not even gonna get to defense. I'm not even gonna speak about defense because that's self-explanatory. And these are the conversations that I'm talking about. When people just say, oh, look how many steals and assists, all stats are not created equal. And realistically, with that team that he has, he should have 12 assists a night and more like 20 points a game, if that. He don't really have to score in the manner in which he scores. He doesn't. And that's the difference why Cade Cunningham is an MVP candidate. Stats do not tell the whole story. I remember when Kevin Love was up there in Minnesota, averaging all these 2020s. He went to Cleveland. That shit stopped. When he started playing meaningful basketball. New York will not win with Jalen Brunson playing the ball that he plays as a ball dominant, don't get his team involved. And then what's the narrative? Oh, he ain't got enough. What was the narrative when Luka was in Dallas? Oh, he don't have enough because Luka don't know how to utilize his teammates. He don't know how to make people better and play the game and then, feed off them and score. You need to score. He trying to get busy, score. And now it's like, oh, these people around him ain't good enough. No, you're not involving them. By the time it's time for them to take a shot, we halfway, in the first quarter or sometimes into the second quarter, and they ain't even got a chance to get a rhythm. They ain't even got a chance to find a rhythm. But these are the superficial conversations when it comes to stats that they have to make this is his best. And guess what? He need to be worried about Jalen Johnson putting belt to his ass. That's what he need to be worried about. Jalen Johnson putting belt to his ass. And it's funny that we continue to have these conversations about stat. I don't care how many points a game you really score. I don't understand why. I get it. The game is to put the ball in the hole, and I understand that from that standpoint of view. But realistically, bro, it's really about how much value do you have to your team. Everybody want to point to stats. What does it matter? Stats don't mean you the greatest. Hate to tell y'all that. No matter how many of you LeBron fans want to justify, well, stats mean, stats don't mean you the greatest. Hate to break the news to y'all. It don't mean you the greatest. You have all the statistics in the world and not have a championship. But it is what it is, or it is what it ain't. Thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Next subscribe button is the bell icon button. Hit all notifications, Christian Chance notifications. Go live, drop video. Hit the link tree. You can find me everywhere: Instagram, Facebook, Kick, Twitch. Peace.